It's separate.
Okay.
Okay, everybody ready? Are you ready, city attorney,
Yes, sir.
city clerk,
Yes, sir.
city manager?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Merrick,
Yes.
Lieutenant. I call this special workshop of the city of Pahokee. It's being held as a public hearing on Tuesday, September the 11th, 2018 at 6:11 p.m. Would we please stand for the invocation given by Evangelist Patricia Wilson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come before you right now and giving you thanks. We asking that you would touch the minds of the leaders and give them wisdom and knowledge and understanding of your word. We ask that the citizens be collective, and we thank you for everything that you've done and doing in our lives. And we pray that this meeting and this budget and all the other meetings come after be successful in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Present.
Commissioner Hill,
Present.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
Commissioner Walker,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney,
Present.
Lieutenant Piccolo,
Here.
Interim City Clerk, present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you, staff, and thank each of you all for being here tonight to participate in our special workshop.
It's actually a special meeting.
Special meeting, a public hearing on our proposed budget. At this time, I'll turn this brief portion over to our city manager to kind of guide us in this area.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission, citizens, visitors, friends. Thanks for coming out tonight. This is a meeting to officially go through our tentative millage rate and tentative budget. We've had workshops to discuss our 2018-2019 budget for the year. We were very successful in identifying the funds for several services in the city while at the same time balancing the budget. It's a very difficult thing to do, but we were successful again this year in ensuring several things. One, that we first maintain the services that are being rendered to this community. Two, identify areas where we can support staff as far as compensation. And three, which is more important, at the end of all that, a balanced budget. Our infrastructure projects are separate from our general budget, so you don't see that represented in our budget. That comes from our legislative funding, with hopes for legislative funding, of course, and our surtax dollars. So that's separate from our annual operating budget. And it's critical that we remain focused on the future of the city of Pahokee and how we are to do the city's business when it comes to fiscally making decisions for this city. So we wrapped up all of our workshops. We've agreed to what this budget has in it for 2018-2019, and tonight is just a formality of moving forward with our tentative millage rate, agreeing to that, and then we'll come back at the next meeting, city attorney, and we'll pass this final budget for the city of Pahokee. So at this time, I want to yield to the city attorney with these two resolutions, 50 and 51.
Mr. Mayor, the first resolution is Resolution 218-50. It's a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, fixing the tentative millage for the fiscal year 218-219 on all taxable real and personal property and to provide for general operating expenses. If you go to the resolution itself, you see that the tentative millage is 6.5419 mils, and it is greater than rollback rate of 6.2271 mils by 5.06%.
Thank you, City Attorney. At this time, I would open the public hearing on Resolution 2018-50. Are there anyone in the audience that wish to speak on this resolution? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing on Resolution 2018-50. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2018-50 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2018-50.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin that we adopt Resolution 2018-50. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-50 passed by unanimous vote. Now we would entertain Resolution 2018-51. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of Pahokee relating to the finances, providing for the adoption and funding of the tentative municipal budget in the amount of $4,654,341 of the City of Pahokee, Florida for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2018, ending September 30th, 2019. This sets a tentative budget for your general fund in the amount of $4,304,922. It sets a budget for the Henderson Endowment Special Revenue Fund in the amount of, actually what it does is it appropriates from the Henderson Endowment Fund $1,315 to the general fund of the City of Pahokee. It sets a tentative budget for the Marina Campground Fund of $147,198. And it sets a tentative budget for the Cemetery Fund in the amount of $200,906.
Thank you, City Attorney. At this time, I will open the public hearing on Resolution 2018-51. Are there anyone in the audience that wish to address or speak on this resolution? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing on Resolution 2018-51. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2018.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I just wanted to make sure no one had any, because it looked like there might have been a question. No one? Okay.
Gave you plenty of time.
Okay.
That's a good observation. Again, are there anyone in the audience who wish to address this resolution at this time? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing on Resolution 2018-51. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2018-51 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt, accept the resolution 2018-51.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Everett for the adoption of Resolution 2018-51. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-51 passes by a unanimous vote. Having no further business under the budget, we'll move to our discussion, comments, concern of the City Commission. Vice Mayor Mervin.
None at this time, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Everett.
None at this time.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Walker.
If I have a concern, do I have a concern of now or about during the meeting?
You can do both. If you want to do a preliminary of what your initial concern is, you can put it out on the floor.
I really,
Let's wait till the regular meeting.
meeting, yes, thank you.
ma'am. Commissioner Hill. Thank you. City Manager, any final wrap up or any comments?
Budget? No, I said what I had to say. Look forward to 2018, 2019. As I said earlier, I think it's a budget that represents where the city of Pahokee is going in the future. We were able to identify some things that was a priority for the commission, priority for the city, and certainly a priority for the citizens here in this community. So good work to the Department of Finance and that staff, certainly to this commission for lending their support and their advice on where we should be going for 2018, 2019. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. City Attorney, any final comments on the budget?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll adjourn the special meeting, and we will reconvene in approximately 5 minutes. Thank you.
Should have had little stands or something, man.
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that.
Stick it in your water drink.
It's bad when you can do yourself. It's bad when you
It's definitely
do
hazardous.
yourself. Yeah.
That's his reference.
A lot better than what I was.
Thanks, sir.
And I'm going to depend on him to make me.
We'll talk about that briefly.
No, I'm talking about the real one. Right there. See one there? This can't be.
Is it in the cage?
No, it's in the left.
How you doing? No, I'm talking about him, the purple card. We need to get other for, wait a minute. I think right now, where it was purple, not purple, Juneteenth, yes, we need to separate, celebrate that. Juneteenth. I asked you all to do a resolution for, proclamation for that in June. We did, but I want to celebrate.
All we need to do is resurrect these committees because
We did do it one time, but it was dissolved.
They reappointed a number, but they never
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you did me?
No, us did, remember?
Right. Okay.
yeah, that's
Now, we're gonna, we're bringing that up.
Agenda item.
Because two or three of them, 16 have expired. We're gonna bring it up next week.
Okay, all right.
No, that's what
Okay, getting ready to start. City Attorney, are you ready?
Ready, sir.
City Clerk,
Yes, sir.
City Manager,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Thank you. I call this meeting of the City of Pahokee, regular commission meeting of Tuesday, September 11, 2018, at 6:33 to order. May we please stand for the invocation given by Evangelist
I want to stand here.
Patricia Whitson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come again, once again, to thank you for the things that you have done and things that you're going to do for us tonight. Asking that you touch the hearts of our leaders and our citizens in this great city of Pahokee. Praying that everything will go well. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, we say amen.
Amen.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Present.
Commissioner Hill, Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
Commissioner Walker,
Present.
City Manager, City Attorney,
Here.
Lieutenant Piccolo,
Here.
Interim City Clerk, present.
Thank you, City Clerk. Thank you, City Commissioners, and thank each of you all for participating in our regular commission workshop, regular commission meeting of Tuesday, September the 11th, 2018. We'll move straight into our agenda. Any additions, deletions, and approval of the agenda items? At this time, I've been given 3 add-on resolution, Resolution 2018-50, Resolution 2018-51, and Resolution 2018, no?
No, it's Resolution 2018-52, Resolution 2018-53.
52 and 53.
52 and 53. These are 2 marina contracts for
52.
renovations. Yes. 2018-52 and 2018-53 is the additions for tonight.
Okay.
Okay?
I have in my package, I don't know why.
Yeah, those are the one that was from the special meeting earlier, but these are the additions that.
Give me that again then. 51 and 53?
2018-52 and 53. Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. Any additions?
That's all, Mayor.
Mayor, I don't see it on here, but one addition is the Tri-City Education, be here tonight to introduce the, area Glaze Regional Superintendent and the Glaze Regional Instructional Superintendent. So that's add-on, it's probably under,
Commissioner Mervin, that was going to be on a special privilege when they get here,
Okay.
if they're here, okay?
okay.
All right.
All right.
Mhm.
Just scratch that then.
Sure.
Okay. Haven't had no addition or add-on other than the 2 stated. I would entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda as presented with the 2 add-ons.
Mr. Mayor, I offer a motion that we accept our agenda for tonight with the additions that have been presented.
A second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of the agenda item as presented with the 2 add-on Resolution 2018-52 and Resolution 2018-53.
I have an add-on, please. I would like to add on. Is it okay?
What you want to do an add-on?
Okay. What item?
But add on it's, vehicle.
Okay. That's,
Take home vehicles.
you have that under your report, City Manager?
I can talk about it. I can put it into my report. Yeah, brought information with me. I can discuss it then.
That's going to be part of his report, so we'll
Okay,
have
that's
that.
fine.
Thank you. Call for questions? Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The agenda item is approved by unanimous vote.
In here.
Commission, just for point of order, we would like to put the introduction or presentation by the Tri-City. They want to do it up front.
Okay.
Following the presentation, because I think the Tri-City Education also is coming.
Oh, okay, they're not all here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we'll move to our citizen comments, agenda items only. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any comments card completed?
Yes, sir, we have 2. One from Edward Jones and one from Patricia Wilson.
Could you state the agenda item as they come forward?
For Mr. Edward is the commercial trucks, which is the ordinance.
Mr. Edwards, you may approach the mic.
Good evening. Good evening to the mayor, the vice mayor, the commissioners,
Good evening.
the lawyer, and the clerk, and everybody that it takes to make up the podium. Let's do it that way. Okay. I'm Deborah Jones, and this is my husband, Edward Jones. I'm so sorry that we have not been attending the city meetings. That's bad on my part, because I live in Pahokee and I need to be a part of this. We have tried to make an appointment to talk with the city manager. No one called us back to have an appointment, make an appointment with us. This evening, our concern is about the flatbed trucks and all commercial trucks being housed within the city limits of Pahokee. We've been told that the city of Pahokee is trying to outlaw trucks out of the city limits. We're also concerned about the upkeep of our town and the beautification of it. We do understand that we want you all to understand that we are registered voters. We would like for you all to consider having a meeting with all commercial truck owners that are housed within the city limits. This living is our livelihood. Having been in Pahokee since 1994, we also pay taxes. If these trucks are housed somewhere else, we can look for fuel to be stolen, computers stolen, tires, etc., which will put our trucking people out of business mostly. I've already had $6,000 worth of tires stolen from out of my yard. I've also had diesel stolen right out of my yard. I've also had tires stolen. When the tires were stolen, it was reported to the sheriff department. They couldn't be found. It was reported, a report was wrote up, but no one was convicted, no one was found. We are barely making it as it is with the insurance so high because of stealing and the theft on the trucks and all. Will you all please consider all of the above while making your decisions? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any comment?
This particular ordinance will also have a public hearing
Okay.
tonight to allow additional comments in reference to meeting with the individuals, owners of large vehicles. We did have a public meeting at our last commission meeting also to get input from not only the owners but residents in itself. But we will definitely consider your comments when we deliberate on this final ordinance tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is very important to us.
Thank you. City Clerk, are there any additional comments card at this time?
Yes, sir, we have one additional, Ms. Patricia Wilson, regarding marina as well as trucks.
Good evening. I'm at 731 Barack Obama Boulevard here in Pahokee. My concern is with the marina, in reference to the negativity that's been going on. And Lieutenant Piccolo, I have a quote for you as well. I was threatened by a drone coming to my house to search my area. I'm here to say tonight, it came from the marina, and I suggest that each of you take your time before you lease this out to these people, because they're making negative remarks, calling us ends, calling you clowns, monkeys. It's unacceptable. These same people that sign and want to sign the lease are the ones that saying this stuff. And for us, the trucks, I would suggest that you also consider, because if you say trucks, we have pickup trucks, we have F-350 trucks, we have commercial, we have RVs. So when you're thinking about making a resolution to ban certain vehicles, make sure you have it correct. Because I have a vehicle in my yard, and I'm a a former owner of a semi, and then when you park it in someone else's spot, if you park it on the State Market Road, they steal your stuff. As you hear them say, they steal it in your yard. But you can put up a fence all you want to. You can say what you want to, parking it somewhere else, and they got lights and stuff. A thief gonna be a thief wherever you park. So, but for you to lose your livelihood because of you have to park someplace else, it's not cheap. They charge, some places charge $30 a day. State Market Road was charging $20 a day. So, I'm just saying, when you make decisions, think about everybody collectively, not just a fateful few. Everybody don't live on Bacon Point. Some live on Banyan, some live on Baroque, some live on East Main. So when you make your decision, make sure you make it for everybody to live happy. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Clerk, at this time, are there any additional comments card completed?
No, sir, not regarding the agenda items.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move to the approval of the minutes of August 14, 2018, our regular commission meeting. What's your pleasure, City Commissioners?
Mayor, I move to adopt the motion for Tuesday, September 11th, regular commission meeting.
August 14.
August 14th, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Hill for the
Go ahead.
for the adoption of the August 14, 2018 regular commission meeting. Call for questions.
Question, comment, concern. We skip citizen, not citizen comments, but the public service announcements.
Okay.
So I guess once we carry out this motion, we can
We got it.
go back in reverse.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
In addition, comments? Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk. The motion was made by Vice Mayor Mervin and second by Commissioner Hill.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes,
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The minutes of August 14, 2018 passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll move back to the public service announcement. Madam Clerk, at this time, do we have any public service comments card completed?
Yes, sir, from Reverend Margaret Smart in regards to an invitation to attend church service.
I'm not gonna try to walk up there, but this is on behalf of the trustees and the pastor of First United Methodist Church right across the street. On September 30th, we will be celebrating 100 years of being an active church here in Pahokee. And we'd like to invite anyone that, I know it will be at 11 o'clock and you will be in your own church, but please come if you can. We'd love to have someone from the city there for this, for our lunch, for our church service and our lunch. The former pastor, Ron Jones, will be the guest speaker, and we'll have dinner on the grounds afterwards. But please come if you can. This is for anybody in the congregation here that would like.
What's the date again? What was the date?
What was the date again, Ms. Smart?
September 30th, 11 o'clock. This
Can-
Sunday.
Can we submit a proclamation to church?
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Walker at this time wanted to request that the commission submit a proclamation to the church in recognition of that activity. Would you put that in the form of a motion, Commissioner
So
Walker?
move a proclamation for United Methodist Church.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Walker and properly seconded by Commissioner Hill that we present a proclamation to the church on this occasion. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The motion for a proclamation to be presented has passed by unanimous vote. AJ, could you give these three out? We just have some additional flags as in recognition of 9/11. Okay, we have no ordinance. We have resolution 2018-48, city attorney.
Mr. Mayor, Resolution 2018-48 is a resolution of the City Commission of the State of Pahokee approving and authorizing the mayor to execute the 13th Amendment to the Law Enforcement Service Agreement between the City of Pahokee and Rick Bradshaw, Sheriff of Palm Beach County, Florida.
Thank you, city attorney. City commissioners, having had resolution 2018-48 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mayor Bab, I move to adopt resolution 2018-48 into the minutes.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Everett for the adoption of resolution 2018-48. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Now we'll entertain resolution 2018-49. City
Yes,
attorney.
sir. Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee honoring 50 years of municipal home rule in Florida, in the Florida Constitution, and committing to an educational initiative to help Floridians understand this beneficial right. Mr. Mayor, this is a change that occurred in the 1968 Constitution. Prior to that time, if a city wanted to do something, it had to get specific authority from the legislature, a special act of the legislature to authorize it to do it. In the 1968 Constitution, cities were given home rule. So you did not have to go to the legislature every time you wanted to do something. As long as it was not inconsistent with general law, you could do it. And that's why we're honoring that provision. So it makes it much easier to run a city that way.
Thank you, sir. City commissioners, having had resolution 2018-49 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mayor Bab, move to adopt resolution 2018-49.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of resolution 2018-49. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin, Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-49 passes by unanimous vote. Now we will entertain resolution 2018-52. City Attorney.
Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission, City of Pahokee, approving and authorizing the mayor to execute a campground and marina restaurant HVAC installation contract agreement between the city and Cooling Refrigeration Services, Inc. This contract provides for the acquisition by the city of a $25,800 worth of air conditioning equipment for the restaurant at the marina.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners, having had resolution 2018-52 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we accept resolution 2018-52.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of Resolution 2018-52. Call for questions.
I do.
Commissioner Walker.
This going to, for the,
This is for the restaurant building at the marina.
Okay.
It needs a new air conditioning unit and system, and this provides a new system for that.
okay, all right,
Thank you. In additional
thank
questions?
you.
Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes,
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-52 passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll entertain Resolution 2018-53. City Attorney.
This is a resolution of the City of Pahokee approving and authorizing the mayor to execute the Campground Marina Restaurant wood deck with handrails installation contract agreement between the city and Slayton Construction Corporation. This provides for the installation of the deck behind the restaurant that we've all been looking forward to for some time, for the amount of $53,036.52. A a picture of the deck is attached as designed by C Diversified.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2018-53 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2018-53 as it has been read.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of Resolution 2018-53. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
yes,
I'm sorry, Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
yes,
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-53 passes by unanimous vote. Now we don't have any public hearing, although we do have a public hearing on our ordinance. We'll come back to that as we get to our ordinance. Proclamations, ratification of a proclamation of Mother Mervin, 90th birthday recognition. Do we have that proclamation?
It was already presented to the family, we just put it inside the agenda packet.
Okay. Miss Mother Mervin is here. We'll go down and just officially congratulate her on her 90th birthday.
Mayor, while we're down there, we'll do Ron of the Month too.
Okay, great.
what do you say?
We're gonna do Ron of the Month while we're down here. We have the resolution, the proclamation.
It was already given to the family that Friday,
Okay.
You have a copy
so
of it.
it's just a
How
copy
many
in the
hours you
packet.
As we come down, if you don't mind, City Attorney, can you read that to us?
I would indeed.
It ain't gonna be seen. See that?
What I got?
Mother Mervin, this proclamation was previously given to you, but we want to officially read it into our record, and then we want to have you come up, and we want to congratulate you on your 90th birthday. We'll have the city attorney read it.
Proclamation, 90th birthday recognition, Asleen Mervin. Whereas Mrs. Asleen Mervin will be honored by friends and relatives on the occasion of her 90th birthday on August 16, 2018. And whereas Mrs. Asleen Mervin was born in Pike County, Alabama on August 16, 1928, and moved to Pahokee, Florida in 1941. And whereas Miss Asleen Mervin is a mother of 14 children, and whereas Miss Asleen Mervin is known as Mrs. Sweet to the community and has earned the respect and affection of people from all walks of life and all ages. And whereas Miss Asleen Mervin has lived during the most eventful times of this world's history, and in her quiet way has been a force for good and stabilizing influence on those around her during these turbulent times. Therefore, on behalf of the City Commission and the citizens of Pahokee, by virtue of the authority vested in the mayor, he hereby deems it an honor and pleasure to extend this certificate of recognition to Mrs. Asleen Mervin on the occasion of her 90th birthday, with sincere congratulations and best wishes for a happy, productive years.
Mother Mervin, as mayor of the city of Pahokee, on behalf of the city of Pahokee, Vice Mayor Clara Mervin, Commissioner Benny Everett III, Commissioner Diane Walker, Commissioner Felicia Hill, our city manager Chandler Williamson, and our entire city staff, we congratulate you on your 90th birthday. I call you Mother Mervin. You're a part of the Church of God family. You taught me as a little boy in Sunday school. It's a blessing to be 90 years old, and we thank you for all your services, not only to your church, but to the entire community. And I'll have our Vice Mayor say a few words if she would like.
Well, this is my mother-in-law. Ma, you know I love you. Congratulations from the city of Pahokee. And we know you'll go 10 more years or 20 more years till Jesus comes.
Mother Mervin, I know you never lost a word. If you want to say a few words, you can at this time.
I'm just glad to be here. My children that's around me, thank the Lord for them. Well, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. But I thank them for
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for being a neighbor for me. You know this stuff from my youth up.
Thank you, and thank the family of Mother Mervin. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How did she handle 14 kids?
Thank you. The commission's going to remain down here. We're going to move into our Lawn of the Month award. Okay, as soon as we do that, we'll do that. Okay. Each month, we award a Lawn of the Month with a large check to be spent in the city of Pahokee. And we're going to have our newly elected commissioner, a veteran already, Commissioner Benny Everett III, present this award to the winner.
I'm still a junior commissioner. But I want to say good evening to everyone. Lawn of the Month presented to Nora Gonzalez Laura, 1416 East Main Street, Pahokee, Florida, 33476. In the recognition of beautifying the community, presented this 11th day of September 2018, Mayor Keith W. Bath Jr., Vice Mayor Clara M. Mervin, Benny L. Everett III, Commissioner Felicia C. Hill, Diane L. Walker, and our City Manager Chandler F. Williamson.
In addition to the certificate, we'll have Commissioner Hill actually present the check.
My voice is out, but I want to congratulate you. I was sitting here wondering, where was this house? I was trying to think, but you have a wonderful, beautiful yard, and we'd like to thank you. We're just trying to get this viral. We're trying to get more citizens in the community, get a lot more involved in trying to beautify this community, so we draw in those investors and the people that we need here. Congratulations, and we pray and hope that you spend this money here in the city. I know it's hard, but that's what we would prefer, please. Congratulations.
And we'll always give the winner an opportunity to say a few words if you don't.
Me, a little bit English. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you and congratulations. This commission just love giving out money. We also have a Mayor Gold Hammond Award plaque that we give on a quarterly basis. So we always look forward to those two awards.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're going to move to the Tri-City presentation. Vice Mayor Mervin is actually on that committee, at least locally. I know we're going to be presenting the regional superintendent. So I have Vice Mayor Mervin introduce the group and have the speaker come up and introduce the committee.
Mayor, we're gonna have Ms. Mary Evans come up and to introduce the Tri-City Education Committee first.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Mary Evans, and I'm president of the Tri-Cities Education Committee. I'd just like to share a little information in reference to the Tri-City Education Committee before I formally present our school board member, and she will in turn present our Glades Regional Superintendent, and then she will introduce her staff. The Glades Tri-Cities Education Committee was formed in 2008 as a part of the Glades Tri-City Coalition. The committee contributes to the enhancement of the local education system while developing fair and equitable educational opportunities for residents of the Glades. They provide information about public education issues, student achievement disparities, and academic programs to the Glades communities. Natives of the Tri-Cities, the committee members are devoted to improving the quality of life for residents of the Glades, and they work tirelessly to ensure resources and services that support educational success are available in their communities. As I stated, this committee has been formed since 2008. At that time, Commissioner Allie Biggs was the president. So let's give her a round of applause for starting this committee. Would you stand, Ms. Biggs? Please stand, Ms. Biggs. This committee has lasted for 10 years, and this is the only committee that was formed under the Tri-Cities Coalition that is still in existence today. And we are still working very hard for the community. Now, our other members are Mayor Steve Wilson of the City of Belgrade. Will you please stand? Mayor Joe Cowles from the City of South Bay. Mayor Keith Babbs, the City of Pahokee. Vice Mayor Clara Mervin. Mr. Eddie Rose is not here tonight, and myself. So we all make up the Tri-Cities Coalition. Tri-Cities Committee that was formed under the Tri-Cities Coalition 8 years ago. Now, at this time, I'd like to present to you our school board member, Ms. Marsha Andrews. I said present because you all know her. Marsha, would you please come up? And she will in turn present our Glades Regional Superintendent, and then she will introduce her staff. Thank you so very much for having us this afternoon.
And good evening, everyone. Good evening. It's my pleasure to be home since I have the key to the city. So I'm home tonight. To the mayor, the council members, the leaders present here, as well as the community. It is all about all of us, the entire village. The School District of Palm Beach County is pleased to be a wonderful partner with the City of Pahokee. You have been with us all the way, as I've been your board member for 8 years, along with the different superintendents that have come through. Our newest superintendent, Dr. Donald Fenoy, sends his greetings. All 7 school board members recognize the wonderful value of partnership with the community. And when we're making changes within our community, within our city, within our region, it's so important for us to make sure that you see what's going on. You have input in the process, and you know that there are people here that care about children, care about community, care about the schools. So tonight it's my pleasure to introduce our new Glades Region Superintendent, Miss Angela Moore, and she... We're so proud to have Mrs. Moore and her team, because it is really all about making the difference. Mrs. Moore has been on the ground in the Glades region for over 20 years, serving as a teacher, and she's moved up now to a level where she is going to be the oversight person, working with communities, working with the schools for the Glades region, and giving you the voice that you need as we improve our schools to the very best ever. So I'm pleased to be your school board member for 4 more years. And when Mrs. Evans was talking about the Tri-Cities, I was here when we had the meetings right here in the city of Pahokee at the very beginning in 2008. And so it's my pleasure to continue to be a part of the process of making sure that we continue to be great partners, the School District of Palm Beach County and the wonderful, wonderful city of Pahokee. Mrs. Angela Moore.
Thank you, Mrs. Andrews. It's always difficult to go after Mrs. Andrews. For anyone who's ever heard her speak, she does such a phenomenal job. So I'm always nervous going after her, but thank you for giving me this opportunity. Also, Honorable Mayor Babb, Vice Mayor Ms. Mervin, and also the Commissioner, City Manager, and City Attorney. Thank you for allowing me to be here today to send you greetings on behalf of the Glades region, where we're growing greatness in academics and athletics. I'd like to have all of the principals and the assistant principals and members of our team to come forward, and then I'll go through our introduction. So at this time, if all of our principals and their teams, assistant principals, and any other persons who work in our Glades region, if you will come forward at this time. And so while they're coming up, I just want to give you just some background. You heard Mrs. Andrews mention that I have over 20 years, 25 years now, as an educator in Palm Beach County. I spent 13 of my years as a teacher. I started my teaching career at Glades Central. I also had an opportunity to teach one summer at the School of Choice under the direction of the late Mr. Russell, who was my father-in-law. I've also been an assistant principal at Glades Central, also a Career Academy coordinator, as well as given this opportunity to be the newly appointed regional superintendent for the Glades region. And so our vision is, also Dr. McTiernan, I need you to go forward. Why she's still, sorry. And so also, the Glades region, our vision is to make sure that students who enter our school system as kindergartners, that those students graduate with a high school standard diploma. We know that our strategic plan for our school district was to improve our graduation rate to a 90% graduation rate. Well, with the help of Pahokee and Glades Central, the school district was able to improve the graduation rate within 3 years as opposed to the 5 years, because Glades Central had a 10-point graduation increase and Pahokee last year had a 10-point graduation rate increase. And if I can also ask Ms. Santana to come forward. I saw you sitting back there. You're part of our Glades Region team, so we need you to come forward also. And so we've been doing a lot of work to make sure that our students, even while I was in a position as a principal, doing a lot of work to make sure that our students were able to graduate on time with a standard diploma. Also, our mission is to make sure that our students understand that we have high expectations. It's a part of our culture, and we want to make sure that our students are challenged and that they rise to the challenge. And so at this time, I'd like to ask the members of our team to introduce themselves and their staff. And I'll start with Dr. McTier, who is the newly appointed instructional superintendent. And so she can tell you just a little bit about herself, and then we'll go around so that everyone can introduce themselves.
Good evening, everyone. As Dr. Morris stated, it is indeed a pleasure to be back in the community. I was born and reared in Clewiston, Florida, so to be in the Glades community feels like home. So as Mrs. Moore has said, we are delighted to start up the school year here in the Glades. We have some fantastic people that will be joining our team, and we have some great people that are already here. So as Mrs. Moore said, we're delighted. We have some fantastic things going on, and we look forward to coming back again so that we can work with the community at large to see how we can further make a difference with the parents so that they can support the schools. So again, thank you very much, and it is a pleasure. I'll introduce the elementary principals that are here. Canal Point, representing the principal, is Dr. Hibbler. Yeah. Dr. Hibbler will come up and introduce his staff.
Good evening, everyone. I was up here been teased here to come up first and introduce myself, but I said I'm going to be introduced. I have a fine team here, and I'm just proud to have this team on my side. They're both my left and rights, up and downs. I tell you, starting the school year without an AP is something else. And the Lord, thank God, the Lord blessed me. He blessed me to have an inside AP. And I'm so proud of this is Miss Toria Henley. A lot of nights I went home still working 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't hit the bed until 2:30 and got up at 3:30. So it's just one of those principal things. Along with my team, marvelous team, this is Miss Amy Buswell, who is our senior school culture coordinator. Ms. Buswell took the trenches. She actually was my AP as we were going through the motions of hiring Ms. Henley. And I think she now understands a little bit more about administration. And we also teased her, we told her, don't wear hard shoes because you're going to be moving as an administrator. I think the second day she ended up wearing tennis shoes. So. And the other lady here is one that was at my school when I got there, and she's very well known. This is Miss Suzanne Mawini, who is my ESOL coordinator right now. And she wears several other hats, working as ELL coordinator and my reading coach and so many other roles there. Then I have Big Chief here. This is Mr. Herbert Cates, who is my community resource person. He's my leg and arms for my school. We're a small school, 312 students in our population this school year, but he's made the connections to the community. He keeps us connected with all of you out here. And I'm just so proud to have Mr. Herbert Crawford part of my team. And last but not least, I want to thank Dr. Mateer and Ms. Moore for allowing me to have another young lady that worked in the trenches with me as I was going through the transitions of AP, not having one, Ms. LaWanda Harper, who covered my school when I was absent, covered the school when I was there, just did an awesome job. So thank you all for doing the super job.
Yes, and I was getting ready to say that, Ms. Biggs. So what Dr. Hibbler didn't say is that the state of Florida did release the school grade for Canal Point, and so Canal Point is a C-rated school at this time, so congratulations. So we want to also introduce two of our region staff members who are with us tonight, Ms. Laguerre, who's standing to my left. She's our ESOL contact for secondary schools. ESOL resource, excuse me, and we also have our elementary instructional team leader, Ms. Harper. We also have one of our administrative assistants who work in our regional office, Ms. Jessica Santana, who's here tonight also. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our secondary principal who's here, Mr. Denard. And so let me just kind of remind everyone of this. So when the school year started, when I first got the news that I would be the regional superintendent, I was informed about a few changes that were happening in our region. One of the changes is Pahokee. So Pahokee is still 2 schools, but there's only 1 principal. So I know there was some information that was out that the school was combined, and I know some people were concerned about fighting for the school to be 2 separate schools. It's still two separate schools. There's only 1 principal, so that principal is Mr. Denard. We've also had one of our resources from our region there, Ms. Kimbrell, who's been on his campus every day, so she's on that middle school campus to assist Mr. Denard. We've also worked with the district to provide Mr. Denard with a golf cart so that he's able to get to, it's something that's needed, so that he's able to get to both schools in a timely fashion. And so what I want everybody to remember is that Mr. Denard has a huge challenge that he's going to be faced with, which is why we have to have the support and make sure that we're supporting him, because it's 2 schools, that means that there's 2 accountability systems. There's the middle school grade accountability system that he's responsible for, and then there's the high school component that he's still responsible for. And so even though Pahokee Middle Senior High School is the only school in Palm Beach County that has a combined school grade, each school has their own school grade components that has to be addressed. And so that's a huge challenge. And so because of that, the district tapped into an additional resource for Mr. Denard, which is Mrs. Evans, who's going to be supporting him as a principal mentor. She also works with me. And so when we go into his school, we're going in to assist with coaching. And it's more about coaching the instructional leadership team and making sure that they have everything that they need to be successful as a team unit. And so I'll have Mr. Denard come up now and introduce himself and also introduce his team. Thank you.
All right. Just because Mayor Steve said something about the Raiders, this is Blue Devil Town.
That's right.
And it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at.
That's right.
So remember that. I like to introduce my wonderful team, and like Ms. Moore said, it's a difficult job, but God put things on your shoulders that you can bear. And I've got a wonderful team that's also going back and forth with me on both campuses. On the high school campus, I'd like to introduce to you, she's from Belgrade. She was born and raised in Belgrade, but more raised in, what else, Indiantown? No, you guys are so irrelevant, so you know. It's Miss Katura Howard. She is our AP that's over ELA and reading. The other high school AP is Dr. Peoples. Tonight they're having the principal's training, so she's over there tonight. Also on the middle school campus, we have homegrown Miss Camilla Slidell. I gotta try to get it right because she'll get on me on the next day. But she's over math and science, and she also helping out with our AVID program. We also have on the middle school's campuses Mr. Terrence Johnson. He is over ELA reading and athletics. He's having car problems at this time, and hopefully he'll be able to get home safely. And we also have with me that run between, we don't have our golf cart yet, so we have to run between both campuses. It's Miss Natasha Twiggs. She is our senior school coach coordinator. And she do a phenomenal job because just like Ms. Moore said, we have two different components and she have to balance both components, and we also have to do a lot of teacher development as we try to integrate STEM and AVID into all our teachers. But I promise you, we're gonna make you guys very proud of Pahokee Middle Senior High School, as in 2015, we was the #1 school for minorities going to college and staying in college, and I plan to get that back again. Thank you so much.
So thank you to all of our administrators. At this time, you can have a seat, and if I can just take 2 more minutes of your time, just to bring a couple of things to your attention. Honorable Mayor, I'd like to, I don't know if this is the right forum for me to ask this question, but I would like to come back to talk about our referendum that's on the ballot for the November 6th election. So I would like to come back and talk about that. But at this time, I just want to remind the parents who are here that it really does take a village to raise children and to also support our schools. And so as a school district, our school district school grade is an A. But we need to continue to work together to make sure that what's happening in schools, what happens at home is an extension of what students are being taught in school. So we know that principals can't do it by themselves, assistant principals can't do it by themselves, teachers won't be able to do it by themselves. We need everyone working together, so that includes the community, our commissioners, our parents. And keep in mind, again, it's an extension. What students are learning in school during the day, then what happens in the evening has to be an extension of what they've learned, because we want to make sure, as Mr. Denard talked about, Pahokee High School being #1. Now, I'm a Pahokee Blue Devil and I'm a Raider. So I just need everybody to know that. I'm representing both schools. But we want to make sure that what Mr. Denard mentioned before about being ranked in the top 15 in the nation, we want that for all of our schools. And so it's going to take a lot of work, but we know that it can be done. We have great leaders in place. We have great teachers in place. We have a great support system in place with all of you, with Tri-Cities, with our board members. So we just ask that you continue to lean on us. If there's anything that you need from our region, you let us know. And we'll definitely work towards working with all of you to make sure that our students and our schools, at the end of the day, it's about our students being successful and having every opportunity that they can to go to college, if they want to go to college, if they want to go straight into the workforce, or if they want to go into the military. We prepare them for that. And so we're committed to doing this work. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight, and I also appreciate all of you for being here, and including our admin team. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much for accepting us tonight here for our Glades Region staff to be introduced to you. I'd just like to say one more thing. On October 18th, the Tri-Cities Education Committee will host again. This is our 6th annual award ceremony for all of our students in the Glades region that made a level 5 or a perfect score on the FSA, and this will be at Glades Central Community High School at 6 o'clock. So we invite all of you to come out and please celebrate with the students of the Glades. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We can do better than that. Let's give the Glades Regional team one more round of applause. Thank you. Appreciate everything y'all do. Now we'll move into the mayor's report. As we all are aware, today is the remembrance of 9/11. We have flag to signify that event, and as the president said at that time, we would never forget and always remember. So I just want to just highlight those events that occurred on that particular day. The September 11 attack was a series of 4 coordinated terrorist attacks by Islamic group Al-Qaeda against the United States on the morning of Tuesday, September 11, 2001. The attacks killed 2,996 people, injured over 6,000 and caused at least $10 billion in infrastructure and property damage. In addition, there was many cancer-related deaths following the attack. 17 years later, 9/11 first responders still struggle with a series of health problems related to the 9/11 attack. After risking their lives to help others on September 11, more than 7,500 responders have developed some form of cancer. 19 militants associated with the extreme group Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 planes and carried out a suicide attack against the United States. 2 of the planes were flown into the Twin Towers at the World Trade Center in New York. A 3rd plane hit the Pentagon outside of Washington, D.C. The 4th plane crashed in a field in Pennsylvania. Almost 3,000 people was killed during the 9/11 terrorist attack, which triggered a major initiative by the United States to combat terrorism. A total of 2,996 people were killed, including the 19 hijackers. At the World Trade Center, 2,763 died after 2 planes slammed into the Trade Center. That figure includes 343 firefighters, paramedics, 23 New York police officers, 37 Port Authority police officers who were struggling to complete an evacuation of the building to save lives of office staff trapped on the higher floors. At the Pentagon, 189 people was killed, including 64 on American Airlines Flight 77, the airliner that struck the building. On Flight 93, 44 people died when their plane crashed into Pennsylvania. At 7 p.m., President George W. Bush, who was in Florida at the time of the attack, was rushed back to the White House. He was being shuttled around the country at that time because of safety concerns. Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the September 11 attack, remained at large until May 2nd, 2011, when he was finally tracked down and killed by U.S. forces in Pakistan. And at this time, we would offer a moment of silence for those who have been killed and those that have been affected by this tragic event. Thank you. I would like to propose to the City Commission and the City Manager that we create and designate the City of Pahokee as a Purple Heart City. We have several residents that live or have lived it in the City of Pahokee who have lost their lives in military combat or who have been wounded in military combat. It will be appropriate of us to honor them by designating the city as a Purple Heart City. I gave you a handout of this information. There are some attracted signage that can be installed, but I think the first step would be to do a resolution, a proclamation that would designate the city as a Purple Heart City. So if I have the city blessing, I would like to have that on the next agenda to designate the City of Pahokee as a Purple Heart City. And just for the ordinance, this is just a sign one of the interest signs that has been erected in other cities. So we want to do something like that to honor our residents who have served in the military and have been injured. If I could, I would like to have a motion put forward to authorize that.
Reverend, I motion to adopt to Pahokee to have to be named, will have a sign in the Purple Heart City honoring our veterans.
Did I get a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Everett to designate the city of Pahokee as a Purple Heart City and to have the mayor present a proclamation in that behalf. Call for questions. Hearing none. Are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The proclamation and the request to designate the city of Pahokee as a Purple Heart City passed unanimously. Next, I would just like to thank the city manager and staff, the work that they are doing, the renovations in Pahokee, the marina, Commissioner Park, and those other renovations are going along really well, and the city's looking great, particularly Commissioner Park. And I would just like to request, because we're doing some additional renovations there, that if we have the funds to address the signage there. We have a plaque at Commissioner Park, but it's so small that it's rarely visible. I would like to see us erect a more appropriate plaque, the same plaque, but put it on a stone, similar to the one we have at the marina, city manager. If that's not gonna be a absorbing expense, if we can.
We're working on it.
Okay, great. Kind of read my mind then. Okay, and lastly, I would just like to invite the public, and I know the city manager probably have this under his report too. We're having our remembrance of the storm of 1928 on Friday at 10 o'clock at Port Yankee Cemetery. As we all know, that was the second highest deadliest national disaster in the United States at that time. I think we lost over right at 2,500 residents. Most of them was migrant. We have 3 survivors in the city of Pahokee that's still living that were little girls at the time of that event. So it's a signature event for us. We'd like for you, if you're not doing anything, that if you can come out and support those families and just pay homage and recognition to all those that was lost in the storm of 1928. Thank you. And we'll now move to the city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission, citizens of Pahokee, visitors tonight. Thank you for coming out and joining us. I have a very light report. It won't keep us. We have a full house, and we've been here quite some time. So I'll be very short tonight. Marina renovations, as the mayor said, is going very well. We're in the latter stages of wrapping up some of those renovations. There's some additional things we have to do there. The deck connected to the restaurant, we got that contract approved tonight. We're anticipating probably another 6 to 8 weeks before that deck can get, formalized and mobilized to start being built. We also have the HVAC, air conditioning, the marina restaurant that needs replacement. That's a 1 week turnaround of installation, just some duct work and some new systems on the outside. More importantly, Commissioner's Park is coming along very well. I'm very impressed with this particular vendor. As you are aware, Commissioner Park houses our 2 tennis courts and our basketball court and a play center. And then we have some memorials out there that we're going to highlight as a courtyard as well. And so we're excited about that. We probably have another 4 weeks before we can get close to a grand opening. They feel they can aggressively finish that project before October 30th, which is the deadline per the state contract and agreement. So we're looking forward to that grand opening. So there's a little surprise for the signage there that we've been working on. They haven't even told me what it is, but I can sort of anticipate what they're trying to do at the courtyard, the entrance from Bacon Point Road. If you haven't had the opportunity to drive by, you can sort of see what they're planning. But it's still a surprise. They haven't even told me what it's going to be yet. So, but it's going to be a wonderful park on Bacon Point Road. It'll be an additional amenity here for this community. It's certainly been a long time coming. We want to bring back our tennis program for our girls here in the city of Pahokee, and we feel that this facility will provide that pathway to that, and so we're excited about that. The gymnasium, as you know, has been closed for quite some time here. The county has been very gracious in partnering with the city of Pahokee to provide the funds to renovate the gymnasium finally. That's about $800,000 that we received. The county will facilitate that project for the city, and so we anticipate probably a late December, maybe January, they'll begin renovations. I'm hoping sooner because we want that gymnasium open by next summer enrichment program, our summer program here in Pahokee by next June. So we're hoping that they can, get started fairly quickly. And they're only doing the gymnasium part right now, so they will leave off the classrooms and the lower level weight room and locker room. So they won't be doing that in phase one. That'll be phase two once that funding is identified. Again, I want to thank the commission, specifically my finance director, for the budget for 2018-2019. As I said earlier in the workshop, we're in the session, in the meeting earlier, that it's very difficult to propose a budget for a community when you're locked into a certain tax base. And we know that our tax base is stagnant right now because we don't have new housing. We need to get additional businesses and economic development coming to the city of Pahokee. So it's a challenge on an annual year to, one, address services to the community, two, address the care for our workers themselves and compensation, and three, project for the future. So we have a balanced budget. We're happy to say this is the third year that we've been in the black. We don't owe anyone. And I keep saying that very loudly. The city of Pahokee is not in debt to anyone, and that's a great thing. Even though I want to get in some debt pretty soon on some projects here, it helps us long term when we strategize about how to develop projects that we have to go out for bonds or loans, et cetera. That good credit rating goes a long way with the banking institutions out here in America. So we're excited about that. So. The last thing was something that Commissioner Walker wanted me to address, and it was about.
I would like to meet with them.
Okay.
About
All right.
that.
I think that'll work. I did have something for you, but let's do one-on-one, and I think that'll help us, me and you, get some clarity on that and the commission, and we can save that for the next meeting. But I do have that information that you needed, so let's get together after the meeting, do an offline one-on-one, and we can have a discussion about that.
Okay, give me a date, okay?
Okay, let's do that before I leave.
Okay.
For the end of the meeting.
All right, thank you.
So overall, we're coming to we're coming to the end of the 2017-2018 fiscal year. It's been a good one in the city of Pahokee. We have several projects that are ongoing right now. We still anticipate that we will address East Lake Village stormwater before the end of the year. We're anticipating that we can get that project online before December. Barring any hurricanes that come our way, we hope that we don't see another hurricane, so it'll allow us to do the type of work in that community that is so badly needed. But we're working on as I indicated earlier to Commissioner Everett, we're working on the bid packages now to start that project. Glade Citizens Villa, if you live in Glade Citizens Villa, you have new stormwater and paving coming soon. Right now, Mayor Commission, they are removing all of the fencing that's in the right-of-way. Years ago, a lot of the residents in that community installed fencing. Some of it is in the right-of-way, some of it is not. Some residents have built sheds in the right-of-way, and some of those sheds are actually brick. Unfortunately, we're going to have to remove those sheds before we can get into the culverts of the backyards of these communities before the contractors can really branch out into the streets and do the sidewalks and the drainage, et cetera. And so we're working with the residents to address that aggressively, to ensure that they can have easy access to those easements and those right-of-ways behind their homes. It won't be easy. Some of the fencing that's installed is in the right-of-way, won't be replaced. But the majority of the fencing will go back as it was first founded. So difficult process, long process. We knew this wasn't going to take, a month to get done. You're probably looking at anywhere from 3 to 6 months before that project is complete. And that gives us time to really address the flooding in this community, fully. And hopefully we can prevent any additional flooding the next storm or the next, tropical storm that may come our way. So we are progressing on that. Outside of that, Mayor, that is my report. I just want to take a personal privilege to thank, the staff of the city of Pahokee. They work very hard here in the city of Pahokee. They don't get the recognition that they deserve. And even in times of, how can I say it? Conflict, they're able to develop the type of professionalism that this city exhibits on a daily basis. And sometimes when we get those critiques that come from the community, sometimes they're not warranted for this staff. And so I'm the guy that stands up front and says, this staff that we have here, whether Public Works or the Finance Department, Human Resources, or Parks and Recreation, they're of this community, they're for this community, and they will continue to be. And when you have certain organizations or folks or individuals that want to attack staff and their qualifications and who we are and what we stand for, I take that very personally. And so I want to just issue just a nice, reminder of what public service is about. And I've been in public service for 20 years. And I value that service to the community because they've given me an opportunity to serve them with a compensation that comes along with that. And so when we are attacked, across the board, I have to stand up and do that time out and remind folks that we are here collectively to move the city forward. And if we do not, resist the urge to try to pinpoint or needle staff, we will never cross the finish line. So, and that is not specific to anyone, Mayor. It's a broad, announcement that, we have a great staff in the city of Pahokee. We have a professional staff in the city of Pahokee, and we need to be, respectful for that staff because they work very hard. My public works guys get up at 5 a.m. They get up at 5 a.m. because they're on the street by 6:30 a.m. I don't know a lot of people who are doing that in this room, but for them, outside of our teachers and our administrators, but for them, just that department alone, mayor, commission, and community, they work very hard to make sure this city is clean, make sure it's maintained, and they will continue to do that. So I take it very personal when someone strikes out against them as they're not competent or they're unprofessional. They should lay those complaints at my feet because that's where it stops. And so, again, I want to thank this staff that we have in the city of Pahokee, and we're going to continue, being that great city that we talk about here on this dais and in this community and in our homes on a daily basis. And I hope I have the opportunity to continue leading them in the 2018-2019 fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to make a point and commend the city manager for the statement he made near the end of his report regarding our public works. And Ms. Wilson, in her comments, alluded to that in disparaging comments being made directed toward our public works, and I do plan to make an address to that, not taking time from our city attorney, but I do want to commend the city manager for stepping in and saying that regarding our public works, because there have been some very disparaging comments made regarding city staff, some that may be near the bottom end of the chain. And I do plan to address that, and I think it's does not make for a good look for our city.
Thank you, sir. Now we have the city attorney report, which is going to include the ordinance 2018-04, along with others. City attorney.
Mr. Mayor, at your last meeting, you had first reading for this ordinance, and at that time, it was presented to you as a draft to take a look at, and it was suggested that at this meeting, the commissioners might have enough time to carefully look at the language in the ordinance and come back with some suggestions as to how they would like this to read. The ordinance, its goal is to prevent the parking of large diesel trucks on the streets and on properties in residential and in the core area of the city. So,
thank you.
If the commission wants to modify the version that's in front of you tonight, we can go forward with it at your next meeting as a final public hearing, or if you would decide to not go forward with it, we can do that as well. It's totally up to the commission.
Commissioners, what's your desire?
I can hear that.
If I can interject for a moment, I provided the city attorney some additional revisions that we want to clarify and have some continual discussions about. But I would support the city attorney on, us continuing to look at a draft before we get to a second reading. Is that what we're trying to do, city attorney?
That's right. I'm
Okay.
looking for comments on this to make sure it's worded properly. I have taken into account Mr. Chandler's comments and have made those changes to the ordinance as it sits in your agenda package tonight. But if you need additional changes, I can certainly make those as well.
And in the interim, we can provide you what those revisions are, so you can be very comfortable as we move into a second reading on this ordinance.
And, we did have a resident that did express a concern, and I do want everyone to understand that our position is not to infringe upon anyone making a living. But by the same token, we have to look at this from a very objective point of view and understand if we want safe streets and if we want the infrastructure in our city to be intact, that we're going to have to make laws or ordinances rather, that's going to make for safe, healthy streets, and that our infrastructure isn't compromised. Because I saw something maybe last week where, and I addressed this with the city manager, where we have truck routes and truckers not following the proper route. And this truck, hooked it in front of town center, made a wide turn, and it was just good that, Lord, my mind has went a blank, Miss Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, Miss Boland, I was trying to get the last name. Car was parked where it was, because had it not been parked where it was and maybe further up, he would have hit it. And so, there are some things that we need to enforce. We are sensitive to the needs of individuals within our communities, and we appreciate, individuals paying taxes. But by the same token, we definitely going to have to take in much consideration that in residential areas, we're compromising infrastructure because our streets can't sustain those types of vehicles. But I definitely agree with the commission's recommendation to further study to make sure that we're not being, too rigid in our ordinances. But we definitely, some things gonna border the lines of non-negotiable, in my opinion, and I'm just one person with one vote.
Commissioner, since our last meeting, I have had a discussion with the sheriff's office about the enforcement of the truck routes, and the sheriff's office is reinstituting an effort to make sure that those truck route restrictions are enforced in accordance with the signs that are posted. And so I don't think that the city's going to have a problem with that in the future.
Okay.
Two questions. One, did we narrow down the types of vehicle that we're addressing? I know the original ordinance had a long list of vehicles, and we thought, at least it was my opinion, that that could be narrowed down some, that we want to concentrate on the more heavier type of vehicles. Would that narrow it down some or reduce some?
It was.
Okay.
Any mention of RV vehicles has been taken out of it, so that it really is aimed at large trucks or commercial trucks that are rated over 1 ton. I mean, your pickup trucks are normally rated 3/4 ton or under. So we changed that to 1 ton or greater. And particularly trailers that are carrying industrial equipment. You got to remember that trucks, you know, they can be diesel, they can also be just gas burning trucks, large ones. So you can't just narrow it down to diesel trucks. So it's really, I think what we're talking about here mostly is the size and the weight of the truck. That is the problem on the infrastructure and on really changing the character of a residential neighborhood. A residential neighborhood that has a diesel truck parked in the neighborhood, and that diesel truck either has the person maybe sleeping in the back of the cab and the diesel is running all night long, or has a refrigerator unit on it and the refrigerator is running all night long, really changes and hurts that neighborhood. It's a real sound problem for that neighborhood. So I think that's what, anyways, this ordinance is trying to focus on. If that's not the focus you want on the ordinance, let me know.
Second question, and this may be directed to our city manager. Have we identified some place, and I know it's not totally our responsibility, but just as a goodwill suggestion, have we identified a place that a truck like that could park within, at least near or within the city limits? I know that's not gonna solve all of the owner's concerns, but at least we have been working on trying to identify some place where they can at some point park. Have we identified that?
There's been some research on that. There's a particular area that we are in communication with a private owner out on State Market Road. If this ordinance were to pass, we're having those discussions about what is the possibility of use of those. Excuse me? I said we're having some discussions with a private owner out on State Market Road for access for those type of vehicles that we're identifying, and there's nothing that's been decided upon yet because it's a private area of the city out on State Market Road. So that's sort of where we are right now. We know that's going to be a challenge, and we wanted to sort of get ahead of the conversation on that before this ordinance is either passed up or down. We would have some options for those business owners that utilize trucks of this magnitude or this weight, where they can park them at night when they're not in use. And so we're not concerned about someone sleeping in a cab at their house. We're more so, as Commissioner Everett mentioned, making sure that this vehicle is parked off of the infrastructure, away from the communities, that way it can affect water lines, sidewalks, and of course, our streets. And so we're in conversation with this particular owner right now about how this could work if this ordinance is passed, cost that will fall on the owner of the truck to park there. I know someone mentioned $30 a day. We weren't even remotely suggesting that. We were more looking at $30 a month if this ordinance were passed, and if this owner was willing to take on the forbearance of having those trucks parked in this particular lot. So nothing's been decided upon. It's just it's an ongoing conversation, because we want to be very sensitive to the owners of the trucks to give them an option of where they can park that truck when it's not in use by them for their business or when they're not hauling products across state lines or in state. We just want to find a place nighttime where they can park it away from the residential areas of the city that affect our infrastructure. So that conversation is ongoing. Yes.
I have a question. Have we did any type of research in reference to other municipalities and how they're handling this? So that's why I will say that I think it is very important that we continue to discuss this, because, you know, the last thing I'm sure we would want to do is not infringe on any livelihoods, and if it's any way possible, we can do some assessing with other municipalities with the size or how many trucks, if that is the case, you know, they're parking, all of those concerns. I really think it's very important that we do that, because at the end of the day, even when they're taking the wrong routes, they may come in, it's a small place, it's a small town to come through. And I mean, you have a huge truck like that, someone can easily mistakenly, you know, reroute and, you know, go or take another route and not realize this is it. I just think we gotta sit down and really discuss this some more.
Well, for a point of reference, for a local municipality, South Bay just passed a similar ordinance that we are reviewing now.
Okay.
And so, you know, I'll give it to the city attorney. We can take a look at their ordinance, but they have just passed this ordinance in the city of in the city of South Bay, and their trucks are those who own trucks of this weight must park it outside of the city limits, or outside of the residential areas. There's a defined area, as the mayor mentioned, that they must park those trucks. And South Bay went as far as paying the first 2 months of the parking fee for those owners that own those trucks, which was very gracious. But South Bay has recently passed this ordinance. But I agree, we can continue looking at the ordinance, utilize maybe a baseline of what South Bay has done, look at maybe Belglade and other cities in Palm Beach County and how they address this issue. So there are some examples out there.
Okay. And Mr. Mayor, let me be the first to say, you know, a good portion of my life, my father took care of me off of being a owner of a dump truck. And my position is not to stop anyone from eating or stopping anyone from providing for their family. However, when we make this decision, both parties, both the city and her commissioners, along with citizens, have to be cognizant and aware of the fact that we are also trying to provide a decent city for all citizens. And if the trucks that are overweight or commercial that can compromise, damage infrastructure, we as a city commission has a responsibility to make sure that we're not compromising streets or the infrastructure. Also for routing, I think some of these trucks take for truckers who coming out of town or what have you, who are going against the routing in our cities. I think they take for granted that we are Pahokee or that we are in the Glades, and they do it deliberately, not unconsciously, not that they don't know. I just think they take it upon themselves not to follow the route because those individuals, we just live in Pahokee. And so I think we need to strictly enforce that routing because it's dangerous. And I witnessed that we could have had a casualty on the corner of South Lake and East Main. I think that's the proper routing.
And I just want to speak on routing just for a minute. There are some exceptions to the routing.
Yeah.
One is the truck is doing business in Pahokee,
Yes, exactly.
the delivery or
Yeah,
I just want to make sure
that goes without saying.
that everyone is aware
And some of
of
them
that.
do come in by mistake.
Actually,
I do know
the
that.
ordinance that we're drafting and correct me, city attorney, says that when a delivery truck, whatever size comes into the city, they have a 1 hour barrier to park and deliver their products, and then they have to, exit the community. So we're not talking about those trucks.
Right.
We're specifically talking about the trucks that park in the community in neighborhoods that affect water lines, sidewalks, and streets, and they use their neighborhoods as parking for these trucks. We're specifically talking about those trucks. But any truck coming through that must get to a certain point, a restaurant or business, they have an hour to park and deliver their products. So we're not, that's in the ordinance. We'll clarify that in the ordinance.
And I'm not gonna take up any more time, but I did wanted to say this, and I'm sorry that the resident left before I made this comment. Could we possibly have either workshop or some type of meeting with those that probably gonna be affected by this ordinance? That's going beyond the call of duty, going a little further than we are required to.
Right.
But that was brought up. Can they have a meeting with the city to kind of discuss that? Sometimes they can give some input on something that could work or may not work. It's just an offer and a suggestion if we can get that done.
I agree wholeheartedly. Other citizens, when they're disgruntled about something, be it formal or informal, they have an opportunity to have our ear. So I don't see it being going over the call of duty to do that. So I agree with that wholeheartedly.
It's not a problem. We'll look at a date between now and for the 25th, the next meeting, and we can have a meeting for them. It's not a problem. We'll announce it and advertise it for them.
In addition to comments on this, Commissioner, before we move on, I guess we'll continue to address it. I prematurely mentioned we were gonna have a public hearing. That's not accurate. We're gonna continue to work on this and bring it so we're all comfortable with the final product. In addition to reports.
Yes, yes, Mayor. You all recall that we had a large fire in town when the biomass started on fire in the middle of the city, caused a lot of problems. That resulted in a lot of code enforcement action and fines being imposed on the property owner. And since that time, the city authorized me to go ahead and foreclose on the liens on that property. The homeowner, not the homeowner, the property owner, Countrywide Homes, has come to the city and has asked for the city to consider a settlement offer instead of going through the foreclosure. The settlement offer would include them making a payment immediately to the city of $20,000, and then they would proceed to take that property and clean it up and turn it into a residential subdivision, and then proceed to construct the infrastructure for that subdivision and build 4 homes by a specific date, in return for the city not proceeding forward with the foreclosure. I would recommend that the city consider that. One, it's a good way to resolve the issue, to further their goals of providing housing in the city of Pahokee, and provide a means for you to obtain your goals of providing new housing for your residents. So if we're able to work that agreement out, I'll bring it back to you, but I wanted to tell you about it tonight to get your initial thoughts on it.
I'm in favor.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
That's what.
Yes.
All right.
Only if they can get me a house. I'm joking. Okay.
What color house do you want? All right, on the Techno Marine matter, the lawsuit we have against Techno Marine, I have reported the issues that we talked about both to the State of Florida Solicitor General and to the Palm Beach County Solicitor General's office, and I will be hearing from them in the near future. On another matter.
When you say hear from them in the near future, so we're still in limbo?
I've submitted the complaint to them, and now they're considering what to do with it, and will be probably calling me up to talk to me about it, and I may have further information on that at a future meeting.
So as far as the funds, getting the funds back, we're still up in the air with.
We're still in litigation, and on the, I have to say the attorney for Techno Marine is trying to drag his feet as much as possible on the litigation, and I'm having to push them along, which we're in the process of doing. Okay, the next item is Mr. Perez's firm, Okeechobee Land Company, has sued the city, alleging that we violated the lease agreement and did not afford him the opportunity to buy the property at the price he wanted to pay for it. We have answered that complaint, and we have countersued Mr. Perez's company for the damage to the property and the state in which it was left. That's an ongoing matter that I'll be advising you on in the future. Now, with respect to a matter that's been hanging around for a long time, Sarah Perez's attempt to overthrow the last election, that case has now been set for trial for August 16th, and we're looking, October 16th, and I'm looking forward to getting that matter behind us. Those are the only things I have to report on. Thank you.
Thank you,
That's
City Attorney.
October what now?
16.
You already have a date, I'm seeing a time for that?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. In case the commission want to pack the house. Okay, thank you, City Attorney.
You said 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock. I'll give you the courtroom too if you'd like it.
Yes, please.
Hang on.
Sweet. My.
I'm representing myself. No representation.
Courtroom 11C in front of the Honorable Lisa S. Small.
Hey,
That's downtown, right?
Downtown.
You can tell I don't have trouble with the law.
I'll tell you.
I'm glad you don't know where the courthouse is.
Okay, thank you, City Attorney. We have no old business, no new business. Now we'll entertain the citizen comments and concern, generous concern. At this time, City Clerk, do we have any comments cards?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll now move to the correspondence, comments, concern of the city commissioners. We'll start with Commissioner Hill.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank the citizens for being for your patience. I want you citizens to understand that this is a process, and within a process, we have a lot of change going on, and within change, you have a lot of discrepancies, you have a lot of confusion, you have a lot of angry people, even with the city manager, with the workers. And I just want us to continue to be patient with this, because I feel like everything's gonna work itself out. I want the city manager to continue moving forward with what you're doing. You're doing a good job with this marina, with the community. I wanna make sure our Public Works Department, Parks and Rec, senior citizens, all of our departments are recognized, because like I always say, you guys are the parachutes. You guys are the ones that really carry a lot of things that's trying to move forward within the community, and just stay strong with that. And that's it. Let's just see what happened October 16th. See how this work out. And thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Walker?
Have a wonderful, blessed evening to everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. Commissioner Everett?
Good evening, citizens and those who are here and those who are watching live. I really don't have a whole lot, but I do want to say that to our city manager and to staff, I do want to commend you for your efforts. I know we've had some rough patches along the way. We've had some surprises to come up, but in light of the fact that we are handling multiple projects, it seems, as Ms. Hill has stated just a few minutes ago, it seems as if we're going to see it come together. The marina looks very beautiful. It looks great, and the staff is to be commended, because one of the things that we need to acknowledge is this. A lot of these things have been left untouched for numbers of years, and I don't know why we think it just happened this way 2 or 3 years ago. These things have been like this for a while, and had a resident at the nursing home stop by and say, hey, thank you for how nice the old high school looks. I think it looks nice, but then later we heard some criticism with regards to the coming together of the old high school. I think it's whatever's being done is a lot more than what has been done to it, because it sat there in disrepair. We lost one of our schools that was near and dear to our community, East Lake, and we're grateful that we were able to salvage one of the schools within our community. And I invite, and I'm not saying this to be facetious, I say this with all seriousness, I invite old alumni to, classes to get together. If this really is a hidden treasure, a treasure within our community, so let's come together and let's put some funds together. Let's go after grant money to expedite and to sustain what has currently been done. As far as I've had some issues, and I sat here wrestling with how I was going to address the issues that I have. I have a major issue and I have a major concern, and for a while I took a hiatus from Facebook because I'm just foolish enough, and I thank God for my mom and my dad, more so my mom, who tries to keep me grounded and not respond to foolishness. And so to get around the temptation of responding to the foolishness, I deactivated my Facebook page for a while. But there are some very disparaging comments that have been made regarding persons of color. And I know it's quintessential for people to say, oh, folk are playing the race card. But I can't help but read what it says. And when you talk about one person who is of the same community, of the same race, that looks like me, I take it very offensive. And I have no other alternative but to say you're talking about me as well. And I have a major issue with that. And so I would invite all citizens, it's all right to disagree. There are going to be times where we're going to disagree and not see things alike. We're different individuals. But there is a constructive way to air out your disagreements. I can't tell people what to do with their personal Facebook. I thank God for the architects of this republic who gave that amendment where we have the right of the freedom of speech, but I have the right and the freedom to say I will not under any circumstances entertain it. And if I hear it spoken, I will at any given time go face to face, toe to toe in responding to it. Because if you're throwing it at someone else that look like me, you feel the same way about me. Now, as far as some of the public works persons, I've had some concerns, city manager, and I think you need to look into it. Because I'm 33 years old, and if I live to see Friday, I'll be 34. And I would not tolerate anybody calling me a boy. And if you call me a boy, I'm going to call you on it right then and there.
So certain terms, we need to be very culturally competent and understand that there are terms and things that you say according, say directed to certain races is unacceptable. Boy and the N-word and all of those kinds of things is unacceptable. And whoever think I'm playing the race card, I really don't care at this moment, because I've heard too much of it. And if I hear it directly, I'm going to call it out and call it on the card. I've seen some things on Facebook that was sent to me screenshot. I'm just inviting all citizens. It's all right to disagree. I don't want you to agree with me all the time. I don't need yes persons in my circle. But by the same token, we need to have decency and fair play. On a lighter note, I had the privilege of going with my colleagues down to Hollywood at the State League of Cities meeting. Very informative. One of the workshops I had to sit in was very long. Torture, it was drooling. But it was beneficial. It was the whole ethics workshop. But one that really spoke home was home rule, and we're in the Jubilee year of home rule, and every city was represented for the most part in protecting the city's right to be able to make decisions as long as it does not go against, as the attorney stated, the state's constitution and law. And one of the sessions I really enjoyed it. We had a liberal and a conservative, how we could cohabitate in the same room. And one of the beauties of home rule is we're not divided, or we should not be divided, because one may be a Democrat and one may be Republican. But the beauty of home rule and the beauty of cities and municipalities, it makes for individuals, regardless of what side you may sit politically. We may have come on different ships, but we're in the same boat when we look at it from a local level. And so I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think all municipalities need to be on the front lines to protect it, because God knows it was slow progress. If every decision we had to make and do, we had to get the nod from state legislators. So I really appreciated it, and I look forward to the great things that are about to unfold for our city. I even had conversations with the city manager. Might go on the chopping block for this, but I think we do need to really, as a commission, and really look at our agreements with regards to leasing. Not saying that we are turning around or regressing, but we need to look at our agreements to make sure that what we agreed to then is still amendable for us, amenable, however, for us moving forward. Make sure that we're doing what's in the best interest of not only our investor, but also in the best interest of our citizens. And I'm also appreciate the city manager for investing not only in the campground, not only in the marina, but for investing in the public side, because historically that north side carries some historical facts. One end was, where majority African Americans would congregate, and the other end, I wasn't privileged to live in that era, but the other end was where our Caucasians assembled. So I really appreciate your investing in the public side, because we want our citizens to know that even though we're bringing in an investor, the whole dike doesn't belong to us, but it was given to us by the state in our trust. And so we need to make sure that we are making it accessible, as Johnny Carkin said about a mall, make it accessible for one and all. And so I appreciate your efforts.
I have one more concern, and I'll be done. I want to address something, Mr. Sergeant Piccolo. What actually goes on Raritan up by Rawdon when you have, I think we need to look back into the vendors that we have. We have people up there, literally we have businesses up there. For example, I think one guy that's barbecuing, and we are having people that are come literally pulling up, opening trunks, opening doors, and pulling food out, selling food. And not only that, why is it the sheriffs are going up and basically running, deterring everybody away? Or because I've been there and I've rode through and I've witnessed that nothing is really taking place for them to be running them off, but they're sitting there trying to do business. And by the time PBSO does that, I've been up there. I've run that cozy corner up there for years, and I've watched this go on for a long time, and it's getting worse up there. And it's almost discouraging, when you're sitting there and you have these people that went through all their paperwork, they have all their vendor license, their permits, and what happens in a situation like that? How can we get?
I'm not familiar with any authorization
Right.
or anything. I have to agree with you. It is getting worse up there. The unlawfulness,
Right.
the weapons, the drugs, the urinating. Over 3 weeks ago, we had a homicide up there. A man was beaten to death. So I will be glad. I'm glad you asked, so I can show the public exactly what is occurring down on Rawdon Avenue. So you let me know if you would like the
Right.
sheriff's office to pull back and not enforce the city ordinances. I could show you the maps of all the violence and the arrests we just made the other night with gang activity, things that escalate. Do you remember all the shootings that we've been having?
So
And things
what
like that.
happens? Hold
So
on.
this is an unlawful block parties that are taking unsanctioned events and that the city is aware of. And if it continues not to be monitored, I know that you've said over the years that you can compare this to the city has no Clematis Street. Well, the city of West Palm puts in all the safety measures for the public to have a Clematis Street.
Right.
Your city has not done that. And I've said over and over again, you need to do your due diligence. The safety, these individuals out here, you will be responsible for you continuing to allow unlawful block parties out there. I have the statistics. Again, a homicide, a man was beaten to death on Rawdon Avenue. It's a shame.
So how would we, okay, if all this is going on, so at what point, how can we fix this, or how can we start addressing certain things? Do we just tell
Year
them?
after year, I've asked for safety committees to be brought in. You could sanction what you want to do. If you want to have something like the city of South Bay and have something organized in Tanner Park or a city-sponsored event, but the unlawful block parties cannot happen. It escalates into violence. It's been historically proven. We have people in the middle of the streets, open drug use,
I understand sometimes there are
open
things going
alcohol.
on, but there have
It
been.
all escalates into crimes.
So
and
basically what
violence.
we do, we almost just need to tell them, the vendors to kind
As
not
far as
do
I'm
business
concerned,
there.
there is no, I have been told of no permits or vendors that are allowed on Rawdon Avenue.
they're not allowed there?
They are not allowed there. There is no business permits allowed on Rawdon Avenue.
Well, not exactly Rawdon
Okay.
Avenue. I know that we have I think the business owner is actually here. Could you come up and let us know, Mike?
Do you want to see the hot spots and the crime activity
could you-
and the
I don't know,
violence
I don't
that
know, come
occurs?
up. Come up, please. Hold on. Wait. I need him to come up. He's a business owner. I would, years ago, I used to be up there. I was in the midst of some of this stuff too. I understand what he's saying, but I know that he's there and he's doing business there. I just want to hear.
And as he coming up, I think that's maybe one of the exceptions. A Masonic group or church group may be allowed to have a cooking activity. I'm assuming that ordinance addressed that. I'm not sure if that's the case.
See, I understand what he's saying, and I'm not here trying to assist in allowing block parties and allowing all this stuff to go on. I'm sure it's a way we can work through all of this. I'm not saying that. And that's not what I'm cheering on, because I wouldn't want that to go on in our city, but at the same time, we have business owners here, we have people here that are trying to run a business, and I wouldn't say that I would just wanna say you leave, or you don't do business there. You have your paperwork, you have your permits, you have everything in order, now what?
Good evening.
Well, before he speaks, Commissioner Hill, what you're forgetting is you have a code of ordinances passed by the city of Pahokee, this commission, and it specifically says, in residential areas, you cannot be a vendor.
No,
Rod,
listen.
oh, wait.
This is
Rodden
not resident-
Avenue- Yes, it is. Rodden
Let me stop saying Rodden Avenue.
is
Rodden
a
Avenue,
residential
where are
area,
you located?
which is why we reviewed,
Where are you located? Okay,
right,
now,
which is why we reviewed the ordinance intently here in this chamber several months ago. And we specifically, explained where vendors can operate, what time they can operate, what they need to operate. Now, I don't know what's going on with Mark specifically. I don't know what his specific
let me
issue
reiterate
is, but
what
I
I
just want to
just said.
clarify
I
what we
understand.
were saying.
Let me just
That's
reiterate
all.
what I said. I said we have businesses, we have others
Right.
pulling
I was just trying to
up
speak
in
on
other
what she
vehicles.
was talking about. I don't have an issue. Right now, our thing is that we operate a Masonic lodge on Booker, which we do a charitable fundraiser there, which we are allowed by law to do. What I think she's saying is that not block parties. But
I didn't say
after
that.
football
I didn't say
games,
block
we
parties.
have people that come uptown, or like be a for football games. You have people that come uptown just discussing the game. And the people that actually work for the city, the people that work for the sheriff's office, the people that work to the jail, everybody that come up on Raleigh is not drug dealers or killers or people that come looking for a truck. We try to work hand in hand with the sheriff's office. Officer Gentleman and some of the other officers. I actually spoke to the supervisor on Friday, which I asked, I let him know that, we work closely with the citizens, like on the 29th, where we're actually doing a giveaway to the lodge. We'll be giving away.
Could you have some extra security and stuff on your site, because it spills over into the streets? The city of Pahokee only has, the city of Pahokee only has 2 deputies, and what happens is it quickly becomes overwhelmed to over 1,000 or so people. And that leads into problems, and we have to call resources from Royal Palm, Wellington, we take out of South Bay and everything.
Right.
Historically, our calls for volumes, when it spills over to over 1,000 people, when the city knows that there should be preventative maintenance, preventative things taken into place, it falls onto the city.
Stores down there. You got the Blue Store, you got one liquor store, you got Thriftway. So it's stores that's.
And those individual owners are just as responsible for gathering large crowds.
Exactly.
Just like Hibbett Sports, when they have this sneaker giveaway, they are responsible for the security and the staff and liability for the public.
Yes, sir. Exactly, but normally, or historically, when we did an event at our lodge, it happened like 11 o'clock in the morning until 4, and we gave away free food, we give away drinks, we give away clothes, shoes, personal hygiene products, and we never had a issue with any kind of,
What times are you doing that? Is
Well,
that
our
at
event
midnight?
will be happening from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m.
Oh, that's no concern for you. This
So-
is the things that are occurring at 11 and 10 o'clock at night.
Well, basically what happened.
Until 1 in the morning.
Right, but see what happened when you got people on the streets down to the Blue Store and stuff like that, of course, then the sheriff officers gotta do their job.
Exactly.
I think
Can I say?
is that being the fraternal lodge on the block, we gonna tell guys, look, man, don't stand out on the block with a
Thank
bottle
you.
of liquor or
Thank
beer. Put it in a cup or something, but respect those officers coming down there.
Thank
Because
you,
they have
and it's a
jobs to
partnership
do, too.
where this
Exactly.
is what
And
we're
this is
asking
what-
for, and
hold
that's how we
on.
get out with all the owners
saying
commitment to, because it's a safety
our
for.
city, and we try to work with our sheriff office.
What's the
Yeah,
purpose
thank
of
you.
PDS?
If it's a block party or something going on, well, They got speakers out on the street and people.
Oh, that's
You
what's
can't
happening.
control that.
It's actually, you could clarify this. It's actually, I believe, it's 3 different instances where the sheriff office got a right to tell people that or tell grown people to go home. That's a city imposed curfew, if the roads are blocked up, or if it's a riot or something like that.
Or the no trespassing.
Right,
and
exactly,
no
or the
and
no
the
trespassing.
Public, yeah, and the
Right,
drugs,
but,
open
you know,
drugs.
those
open-
times, y'all have a right to tell grown people to go home. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, like I told the supervisor last Friday, I'm like, look, man, if you see guys out here selling dope, then it's your responsibility to put handcuffs on them and take them to jail. You know what I'm saying? Our thing is we on the streets with people. So we try to prevent before that encounter with the sheriff office. You know, I tell them, look, man, look, you know, if you're gonna drink that, don't have no beer standing on the side of the road. The sheriff passing by, you know, you asking for trouble. Or if you wanna pull out a blunt and go to smoke it on the side of the road, that's asking for it then. You
That's
know what I'm
great
saying?
that you're helping us.
Well, that's-
Unfortunately, at times it gets so
Well, that's
over
our
out of
mission,
hand.
is to
That's
try
not
to
right.
assist our city in doing the right thing. Last Friday, you know, Mr. Murphy came up there with me.
What-
And she saw firsthand that we try to work hand in hand with our city. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully, we can have some type of community meeting.
You
or
know,
workshop
at some point,
to
yes,
really address this.
we can have a community workshop, but my concern is, I've been up there myself with Cozy Corner. I've been up there with my business in the middle of all of that. At the end of the day, how can we form, I mean, basically, the way this is sounding, that whole area just needs to shut down. What happens with Marathon? I don't think that was a fair answer for any business owner. You have stores up there. I understand the environment, but I just think that answer was very, it just wasn't a good answer. So at the end of the day, I'm not here trying to help, see all these things going on, and I'm kind of going along with it. That's not what I'm doing. I was once up there trying to help keep everything calm, but what happens when PBSO, you have PBSO, they're just literally running these people away. They're not doing anything. They just come in and clear them away.
At what numbers do you want it to get out of hand?
No, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I'm just telling you what was going on, Mr.
Last Friday,
Piccolo.
we had up to 800 people.
Okay,
In each
what?
of the
Okay,
cities
what happens to
concerned.
Marathon? Do we close all these other stores as well?
Marathon, I'm not, I have no complaints.
That's
on that.
because there's nobody there.
What-
I mean, there's no citizens there. As long as
What is the
citizens are,
Marathon gas station?
and my main concern was when you have the other businesses pulling up and the other citizens, I don't know what's going on, pulling up and they have food in the trunk, which I think may be a problem that the city or somebody could address, but they just pop out a cooler and they have food and they just start selling it. What happens? This is all I just want to know. As a business owner, and you have your correct paperwork, what happens when you have no one up there doing, majority of the people are not violating anything, and they just come up and say, everybody needs to clear the street, clear. How often, what happens? If we need to have a meeting on that, we can have a meeting. I don't know how to word that, but it's just not right. That's not fair.
So you're saying, like, let me just ask a question, because like I did, I went up there on Friday, because I wanted to see firsthand myself on what goes on. Yes, it was a lot. I agree with.
And we're fortunate that
Because
it
I-
has not
I
been
agree
to the
with
numbers
Mr. Mark
that it
when he
has
said
in the past.
of it concerning that if there's crime going on, I think you're supposed to do the absolute job and enforce the law. Enforce the law. But after the game, it's just a little hard here in Pahokee, but after that football game, we have people that are going to congregate somewhere. Some of them just up there just talking about the game. Some of them are just
They once
some of
lived
them
here. They stand there and
come
talk
to
and they
town,
go home.
They see some
Yeah.
old friends, and actually, they're I don't know. I know with a number, I know
As long
things
as
do
they're,
happen.
there's
No, I know things do happen when you get to enough. I know some people out there have guns, some have drugs, but there's some innocent people just there like I did. I went and got me a rib sandwich and
Well, from what I've been told, there is no street vendors with licenses from the
Well, I
city
don't-
for Rardon Avenue.
I can agree
To
with
allow
that, but I'm
music
saying,
is
I
against the
turned, but I went to the
ordinance. So is
Masonic where it
open
was
container.
legal.
Now, we gonna have to talk a little constructive here, cause this here is kind of driving me, kind of a little crazy now. We need
So
to
that's what we just saying, tell everybody just go home after the game.
talk constructively. Now,
Mhm.
can I say something, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Can I say something? One of the things I want to address Lieutenant Piccolo and say this. I don't think any of my colleagues want you to not enforce law and order. I mean, you've been sworn to protect and serve. I think one of the things we need to do is maybe have a safety committee. One of the issues that we have, and to people that are not in this city, born, raised, reared, you may not understand the social mores that comes along with being in the city. So my point is, we don't have much, and I've said this a couple of months ago, we don't have alternatives. And I think we got to be a little proactive, do a little bit more than what is required if we're going to start taking from. I think we as a city, we need to reactivate our committees. If we know football is a part of our charm and who we are as a city and community, we need to wake up these dormant committees and do some things that's going to complement, augment the social mores, the traditions that we have in our community. Now, I'm not saying it's tradition that someone is up there illegal, selling drugs, fighting. I'm the first to say if they're doing anything that's not legal, you enforce law. But I also say that we got to look at it, Mr. Mayor, Commission, City Manager. We don't have alternatives. And I think it would be maybe to our advantage to do maybe what South Bay is doing. Maybe food truck invasions or something that can make for constructive assembly. Because I don't agree with individuals being in the roads and blocking folks, stopping traffic, hindering the normal flow of traffic or what have you, or infringing on us ensuring that we have a safe community. Because now we can't sit here and say that we don't see problems up there. Now we would be disingenuous and we wouldn't be truthful if we don't say that there are problems and issues up there that needs to be addressed. And respectfully, Mark is my cousin. Respectfully, if something should happen, I mean, that's a good gesture he does, but that's not going to protect the city's interests. If something does crack down, what's going to protect the city interest is that we have law enforcement making sure that our citizens are doing what, are within the bounds of law. But when we look at loitering and loitering laws, it does look like we're infringing upon individuals' rights. But by the same token, we do have ordinances in place that have been passed. They just haven't been enforced. But we do need to look at this in a critical eye, address the issues that exist. Because if we sit here tonight and say there aren't issues up there, we wouldn't be truthful. But there have been instances and examples where people have lawfully been in places and have been antagonized. And so what we need to do is come with a happy medium, draw some boundaries, draw some do's and don'ts, but we do need to keep the safety of our citizens first. But in no way is any of us, I don't think, I'll go on the limb to say I don't think Ms. Hill, Ms. Walker, Mrs. Mervin, Mayor Babb is saying don't do your job or don't enforce the law. But maybe your suggestion in the midst of this discussion, maybe we need to sit down with a safety committee and come up with some a happy medium or some parameters. But I just say, hey, we need to give our citizens some alternatives, some things to do. I remember long years ago we had dances and things that immediately following the game, there were areas where they could go. So we need to come up with some constructive ways that our people can assemble, because the loitering-laws and ordinances does give the appearance that we are in fact infringing on their individual right, but we do need to make sure that we are making for a safe and healthy city.
And one last thing, Commissioner, I do want to thank you for that support, because for the last 4 years, I have been proposing for a safety committee and things that we could do with all stakeholders involved, fire rescue, law enforcement, government officials. This diocese has been talking about forming this committee for over 4 years that I've been proposing. And when we have had loss to life and other things that have escalated to that point, I have proposed and sent emails to every individual on these committees that we could form to put it in a safe context out there. We're not about people not having fun or enjoying after the game, but I have stressed well enough over 4 years to put the city on notice to do their due diligence.
Mr. Chandler, let's see if we can make it happen. Let's pull.
We'll come at the next commission meeting and we'll have the correct documents in place so we can propose a safety committee. I would ask the commission to have some recommendations on folks who want to serve on that committee.
And let's see if we can solve the problem or put a major dent in. I think working together, we should be able to do that.
And Ms. Mervin and we need to do that expeditiously, because we have an unprecedented number of home games, and Muck Bowl is being hosted here in our city. I'm still a little salty that, we had to be penalized because of a shooting that happened on the East Coast. Wow, they do shoot over there. But, and we had to change what we do because of something that happened over there. And I'm not throwing any shade at the district, but it does make for inconvenience. But we need to do this with some deliberate speed, because we got quite a few number of home games, and Muck Bowl is going to be here sooner than later. So we need to definitely do our due diligence as a city. And it's very easy for people that are not interested or may not be in the community to think that this is trivial or foolish chatter. But it's something that's unique. I used to hang uptown with my daddy, and he didn't smoke reefer.
I did too.
He didn't drink, or he didn't act unlawful, but it was just men in the city, elders in the city. He would put on his Lagerfield and throw on some old school music, ride in his Corvette, and go uptown to Mr. Freddie Pahokee Hall or the Streamline, and we hang uptown. I was a little boy hanging with my daddy, and I'm a law-abiding citizen. So we need to understand that there are social mores that folk in other communities may not do, but we do it. But we need to make sure that we're doing it within legal. Yeah,
we appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Mervin, bring it home.
I just have an announcement, public announcement. Mark, you already made one of his announcement he wanted me to make on September the 29th, that they're having a community giveaway with school supplies, personal hygiene products, clothes, shoes, and they're giving away free food. Mark Holmes and Angela Mitchell that you can contact, and that's going to be at 223 Booker Place. Also, to the Glaze residents, Healthier Glaze, the time is now on September the 17th from on a Monday from 5:30 to 8 at the First United Methodist Church. That's at 491 East Main Street. They're having a Let's Talk. The results of resident surveys, the results of focus groups, what you said our community will need, tell us what you want to see. And again, that's going to be on Monday, September 17th from 5:30 to 8. And they're looking for the community to come out to give, just to have a Let's Talk and what you want to see in your community. And that's given from the Healthy Glaze and from Health Foundation Partnership. That's it for me. Have a good night.
I want to say something about did you set a workshop for community? Yeah.
We need to set one for that. What's that other thing? Just that retreat.
Yeah. And that too. Tell me, put it on schedule, on the agenda. put it on the
Talking about the
agenda.
retreat?
And the tree, yeah.
Yeah,
the
we need to do
tree
that.
And the, community meeting.
Ms. Clark, on our next agenda, retreat date and the town hall meeting date.
Okay.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.